Hi, my name is Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation, and this video, which you can like, you can share, you can comment on, is going to be very important because if you're Googling, if you're looking at videos about marriages, you're trying to fix yours. You're having problems. Well, you got to know why. You got to know what's going on. How come your marriage is in trouble? Now, we cannot point to symptoms. We cannot say, well, my marriage is in trouble because my husband is cheating on me. We cannot say that. And the reason why is because if your husband is cheating on you, that is a symptom. It's a gnarly symptom, but it's a symptom. The reality is that there was already something wrong with your marriage, or why would your husband, if that's the case, why would he want to find somebody else, right? Bad communication. Everyone says, oh, we have bad communication, which translates loosely into we argue all the time. Why? Why? There's only two of you. How can it be that just two of you, in a situation called marriage, where you want to be happy, both of you got married to be happy, how can it be that you can't communicate to make yourself and each other happy? So there's a core problem kind of underlying everything, and that is a lack of education. The lack of education begins when we're children and we don't have good role models and we're not watching to see how our parents who are getting along in their marriage are getting along. And if they're not getting along, which is true in over 50% of the cases now, that means that we don't have any role models. Then there's no education in grade school, no education in high school, etc. So education is really important. Why? Because we need to understand what a marriage is, what we can do to make it really good, the things that we do that undermine it, and so forth. We really don't even know the purposes of marriage. So here's the thing. If your marriage is dysfunctional right now, which means that you're having problems, the first place to start, unless it's already going way downhill, is to read one of my books. Because in both of my books, what I do is I really lay out what a marriage is. I define the purposes, which are not complicated. You want to be happy. You want to learn to love unconditionally because that's how you get happy. So you need to get the education that you are lacking. So that's got to be done. You can't get away from that. But here are the things, because if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you really want to try and heal your marriage yourself, which I encourage, you need to understand that the biggest problem that occurs in most marriages is what I call over-familiarity, where you take each other for granted. You no longer show the respect that you showed, for instance, when you were dating each other. You do things in front of one another, you say things to each other that you shouldn't, and you know better. But you have to stop all that. You got to stop the over-familiarity practices. You got to stop being critical. You got to stop condemning. You got to stop complaining. All of these things, these are not normal to marriage, as some would have you believe. These are abominations in a marriage because you're in a marriage to support one another, to love each other, to give each other the kind of things that you gave each other when you were dating, the promises of love, right? So it's not hard to see why your marriage is dysfunctional. And just changing that one thing will do so much that it'll literally blow your mind. Just if you're about to say something that's critical, stop yourself. Ask yourself, is this really what I want to say to my spouse? This is going to be hurtful. Do you really want to complain to them? Do you want to make them feel like they're carrying your burden too? And I know this is common thinking for marriages, but it shouldn't be. Your burden is an individual burden that God has given you and circumstances have given you. Now, you may want to talk about it, but you don't want to have your spouse share in your burdens. Those are your burdens. So what's wrong with your marriage? What's wrong with your marriage is you're not managing it well. You're not running it. There's no consciousness about here's how I should behave, here's how I should not behave, here's what I can do and should do. You don't have that going for you. If you did, your marriage would be fine. So it's literally that kind of transition that you need to make. You need to go from doing all the things that are undermining your happiness to doing all the things that are enhancing your happiness. Amazing how simple it is, isn't it? And it really is that simple. So once again, what's wrong with your marriage? You're not managing it correctly. There's no thought going into it. You're not consciously aware of your marriage as a marriage, so you're not giving it the care and feeding that it's supposed to get. You're not giving your spouse the care and feeding that they're supposed to get. And that's really it. It's that simple. And a lot can be done about it. Now, what if your marriage has gone to the point of where you're just totally wasted, you're tired, you're frustrated, you don't know what to do? Well, if there are no big, what I call events, like infidelity, just read one of my books. But if you have one of those, then we got to bring you back into rescue mode, and for that you need the course. If you're a man, you take the men's course. If you're the wife, you take the woman's course. And we'll help you. Our success rate is off the charts. It's close to 100%, so you don't have to worry. But do something about it. Why? Because your marriage is designed to be a hive of happiness. And if it's not, let's get it fixed, okay? And so that's it. Thank you. Blessings to you, blessings to your spouse, your family, and blessings to your marriage.